Angel Reese chokes, shrinks, crumbles under the spotlight against the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark, in her professional career, has now lost one time against Angel Reese. In fact, ever since Angel Reese followed Caitlin Clark around in that national championship game, doing the John Cena you can see.
There is a moment in every great athlete's career that defines them forever. Not the moments when everything goes right. Not the highlight reels, not the celebration dances, not the pre-game trash talk and the social media clout. No. The defining moments come when everything is on the line, when the arena is packed to the rafters, when millions of eyes are locked onto every single movement, every single decision, every single breath. That is when you find out who somebody truly is. That is when the hype either becomes legend or dissolves into embarrassment. On this particular night, the Indiana Fever traveled to face the Atlanta Dream in what had become one of the most anticipated matchups in the entire WNBA season. Two franchises. Two young stars at the center of a cultural phenomenon bigger than anything women's professional basketball had ever seen before. And when the final buzzer...
Angel Reese warming up, shooting threes before the game. Angel Reese is shooting 40% on layups and is wasting time practicing bricking threes. SMH, get on some mic and drills, LMAO. Now my question is, what is with this leg kick? What is with this leg kick? Are we in a batter's box waiting for a pitch to come down the plate and we're loading up?
Sounded. When the dust settled and the crowd filed out of the building, only one player had proven she belongs in the brightest possible spotlight. The other one, she crumbled. Completely, catastrophically, and publicly crumbled. This is the story of what really happened. This is the brutal, unfiltered breakdown of the latest chapter in the most compelling rivalry professional women's basketball has ever produced. And if you are a fan of honest analysis, of real basketball conversations stripped of politics and narrative management, then buckle up, because we are going deep today. Before we get into the specifics of this game, we need to establish context. We need to understand the seismic shift that has taken place in the Women's National Basketball Association over the past couple of seasons. Because without that foundation, you cannot fully appreciate the magnitude of what we witnessed in this matchup. The WNBA is no longer a niche product. Let that sink in for a moment. Arenas that used to struggle to fill their lower bowls are now selling out weeks in advance. Television ratings that had been stagnant for decades are suddenly breaking records that nobody thought would fall in our lifetime.
Shooting corner threes. Let's see if she applied it in the game, shall we? All right, here we go. Angel Reese. Maisha Hines-Allen, wide open three. Maisha Hines-Allen couldn't be playing less defense on Angel Reese right now, even if she tried. Even if she tried. Angel Reese screaming for the ball. I'm open, hit me. All right, her teammates say, all right, yeah, I guess we'll give it to you. Boom, Jordan Canada. Look at the distance between this. Look at the distance between Maisha Hines-Allen and Angel Reese. Notice how you don't see a weird, unnecessary leg kick. Not sure why she was doing that in practice. But here we go. Pull up. Ooh.
Times. Merchandise sales have exploded. Sponsorship dollars are pouring in. National media outlets that previously ignored women's basketball entirely are now dedicating prime coverage to every single game, every single storyline, every single controversy. The economics of this league have been completely and utterly flipped upside down. And the driving force behind all of this transformation? You already know the answer. It is Caitlin Clark. The Indiana Fever guard has done something that transcends athletic achievement. She has made casual sports fans care about women's basketball. She has pulled audiences from football, from college sports, from people who had never watched a WNBA game in their entire lives. She has become a genuine cultural phenomenon, and her effect on the league's financial trajectory cannot be overstated.
Let's take a look, shall we? Jordan Canada to Angel Reese. Oh, airball. It's okay. It happens. Raven Johnson pushing pace. Raven Johnson pushing pace. Getting inside the teeth of the defense. Oh, to Maisha Hines-Allen. Nice screen to Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard quits on the play. Ryan Howard quit last night. And Caitlin Clark.
But here is where things get complicated and interesting. When one player becomes that magnetic, that powerful a draw, it creates a natural ecosystem of competition and rivalry. Other players want a piece of that spotlight. Other teams recognize that games against the Fever are their biggest attendance draws of the season, their highest television ratings, their most significant marketing opportunities. Every team circles Indiana on the calendar. Every opponent wants to be the one who beats Caitlin Clark, who outshines her, who steals the narrative. Angel Reese has been the most vocal and visible player in that conversation. Ever since that 2023 NCAA championship game, when Reese followed Clark around the court during LSU's victory, mimicking the John Cena, "you can't see me" gesture and directing it squarely at Clark's face, these two players have been linked in the public consciousness. The rivalry has been packaged, marketed, discussed, debated, and dissected endlessly. Media outlets have leaned into it. Both players have brands built partially around their contrasting styles and personalities. And every single time they meet on a professional floor, the stakes feel enormous. Which brings us to this game.
Okay. Angel got away with a double moving screen just for Aliyah to block her shot and CC to immediately throw a ridiculous dime to Kelsey. Let's take a watch, shall we? Boom. Oh, we got a moving screen. Boom, taking it to AB. Yikes. Yeah, I'm blocked by. And then Angel Reese pats Michaela Timpson on the head. Tap.
Collision. This moment where wanting the spotlight and actually surviving the spotlight revealed themselves to be two completely different things. The story of Atlanta's collapse in this game did not begin when the opening whistle blew. The warning signs were there before a single point was scored, hiding in plain sight during warm-ups for anyone paying close enough attention. While both teams were going through their pre-game routines, cameras caught Angel Reese on the perimeter practicing corner three-pointers. Now on the surface that might not sound alarming. Players shoot around before games all the time. They work on different parts of their game. Warm-ups are warm-ups, but context matters enormously here. Angel Reese is currently shooting approximately 40% on layups. Let that number marinate for a second. 40% on layups. These are shots taken within a few feet of the basket, often uncontested or lightly contested, the highest percentage shots in all of basketball. And she is converting them at a rate that is genuinely concerning for a player at her level. So the logical question becomes, why, in the most important warm-up session of her week, is she standing in the corner practicing a shot that she has demonstrated virtually no ability to make in game situations? Why is she investing precious mental and physical preparation time into a weapon that does not exist in her arsenal, rather than sharpening the tools she actually possesses? And then there was the shooting form itself, the leg kick. This bizarre, exaggerated leg kick that accompanied each practice shot, creating a mechanically unstable and completely unnatural motion through the release. Shooting mechanics are about consistency, balance, and repeatability. What we saw from Reese during warm-ups was none of those things. It was a motion that looked improvised, uncomfortable, and fundamentally disconnected from the kind of natural fluidity that reliable shooters develop over years of disciplined practice. This is the kind of detail that coaching staffs live for. This is precisely the information that Indiana's coaches absorbed and built their defensive game plan around. The Fever came into this game already knowing what the data showed about Reese's limitations as a scorer. They knew she could not shoot from the perimeter with any real consistency. They knew her finishing around the rim was unreliable. And when they saw her spending her warm-up time practicing shots that even her most generous supporters would not trust her to make in crunch time, it confirmed everything. Indiana's defensive strategy was crystal clear before the opening tip. Dare Angel Reese to beat them from the outside. Give her space, back off her. Sag into the paint and protect the basket. Force her to make the low percentage decision and then let the results speak for themselves. It was a chess move executed with surgical precision. Early in the game, the Indiana Fever's defensive scheme was put to its first real test. The Atlanta Dream ran a play designed to get Reese the basketball on the perimeter. Jordan Canada pushed the ball up the floor and found Reese cutting to the corner. And here is where you have to appreciate the audacity of Indiana's defensive positioning. Miesha Hines-Allen, tasked with guarding Reese on this possession, was standing so far away from her that it looked less like basketball defense and more like a polite invitation. Hines-Allen was giving Reese real estate. She was practically holding open a door and gesturing for Reese to walk through it. Reese recognized the space. She screamed for the basketball. She wanted the shot. She had spent warm-up time working on exactly this scenario, and now here it was, materializing in a real game with real consequences. Her teammates hesitated for a split second, perhaps wondering if this was truly the right call before finally delivering the pass. Reese caught it, set her feet, and fired. What happened next was one of the most painful individual moments you will see in a professional basketball game. Airball, not a rim shot that bounced the wrong way. Not a contested attempt that grazed the backboard, a complete and total miss of everything. The ball did not touch the rim, the backboard, the net, or any other structure attached to the basket. It sailed wide and fell to the floor with a dull, deflating thud that seemed to echo through the entire arena. And in that precise moment of desperation and denial, Reese tried to use body English. She leaned, she twisted, she physically willed her body in the direction she needed the ball to travel, as if the laws of physics might make an exception given the circumstance. They did not. The crowd's energy shifted instantly. The life drained out of Atlanta's offense before the quarter was even properly underway. But here is what made this sequence so devastating beyond just the missed shot itself. What happened on the other end of the floor in the immediate aftermath was equally telling. While Angel Reese's airball was still bouncing out of bounds, the Indiana Fever were already in motion. This is a critical detail about elite teams versus struggling teams. Great teams do not pause to savor their opponent's misfortune. They immediately convert momentum into points. Raven Johnson pushed the pace in transition, reading the disorganization of Atlanta's defensive scramble with perfect instinct. The Dream, still processing the embarrassment on the other end, were not properly set. A screen was set up the floor, creating separation, generating a clean look. And then there was Rhyne Howard. In that moment, with her team scrambling to get back and set their defense, Rhyne Howard simply stopped running. She quit on the play. She disengaged from the effort required to protect against a Caitlin Clark transition opportunity, and she just stopped. When you give Caitlin Clark that kind of space, that kind of time, that kind of disrespect in terms of defensive effort, you are going to pay for it every single time. Clark caught the ball in rhythm, pulled up smoothly, and knocked down the shot as easily as if she were in a morning shoot-around with nobody watching. Within the span of about 10 seconds, the entire emotional story of the game had been told. An airball from Reese. A casually brilliant bucket from Clark. The contrast was jarring, unambiguous, and impossible to explain away with any reasonable narrative. This is the real WNBA. This is what happens when preparation meets opportunity on one side, and when unpreparedness meets pressure on the other. As the game progressed and the Indiana Fever continued to execute their game plan with disciplined precision, something troubling began to emerge from Angel Reese's performance. Frustration had given way to desperation. When an elite athlete starts feeling the game slipping away, when the preparation does not match the moment, and the scoreboard is telling a story they do not want told, certain things start happening. Decision-making deteriorates. Physicality becomes a substitute for skill. Mental discipline breaks down. We saw all of this unfold in real time. Reese began setting moving screens, illegal by any reasonable interpretation of the rulebook, attempting to manufacture advantages through physicality rather than basketball intelligence. She was grabbing arms, displacing defenders with her body in ways that pushed against the boundaries of what is permitted. None of this is uncommon when a player is struggling. The instinct to use physical tools when skilled tools are not producing results is deeply human. But it is also an acknowledgement, however unconscious, that the plan is not working and that something is broken down fundamentally in the approach. The Indiana Fever, to their enormous credit, did not retaliate or allow themselves to be baited. They absorbed the physicality, stayed disciplined, and trusted their system. And then came the sequence that perhaps best summarized the entire night. Reese made a move toward the basket, fighting through a defensive rotation, trying to force the issue in the post. But Aliyah Boston was positioned perfectly, reading the play before it fully developed, timing her approach with the kind of defensive intelligence that only comes from elite preparation and elite basketball IQ. Boston rejected the attempt completely. Clean, authoritative, devastating, but the play was not over. While Reese was still processing the blocked shot, while Atlanta's players were still reacting to the sudden change of possession, Caitlin Clark had already done something that most players would not even attempt. She secured the rebound from Boston's block, surveyed the entire floor in a fraction of a second, identified Kelsey Mitchell running a perfect lane in transition, and delivered a full court pass that was so precisely thrown, so perfectly weighted and timed, that Mitchell caught it in full stride without breaking a single step. Easy basket for Indiana. The entire sequence from Boston's block to Mitchell's layup took approximately 3 seconds. It was a blocked shot, a brilliant outlet pass, and a demoralizing bucket all packaged together into one overwhelming burst of Indiana Fever excellence. 3 seconds that told you everything you needed to know about where these two franchises currently stand relative to each other. By the time the final buzzer sounded, and the Atlanta Dream had suffered yet another deflating defeat, the statistical reality painted an unforgiving portrait. Angel Reese finished with 11 points on 4 of 9 shooting from the field. She committed 4 turnovers, and her plus-minus was a deeply troubling -8 during her time on the floor. In a game she had circled, in a game that carried enormous weight for her personal narrative and her desire to establish herself as a legitimate rival to Clark, she delivered a performance that answered none of the important questions and raised several new ones. The shooting inefficiency was one thing. The turnovers compounded it. The negative impact on the overall score while she was present was perhaps the most damning data point of all. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's professional record against Reese improved to 5 wins and 1 loss. 5-1. Think about what that means in the context of this supposed rivalry, in the context of the endless debate about which player is truly operating at a higher level, which player is genuinely built for the moment, and which one is better suited for the warm-up session than the actual game. The scoreboard does not lie. It does not care about marketing narratives or social media followings, or which player generates more polarized debate in comment sections. It simply reflects what happens when preparation, talent, coaching, and mental fortitude are all brought to bear in a competitive setting. And right now, in that competitive setting, one player is consistently winning, and one player is consistently finding new ways to disappoint. The Indiana Fever deserves significant credit that often gets overshadowed in the personality-driven coverage of this rivalry. Their coaching staff has built a genuinely intelligent defensive system, one that identifies opponent weaknesses with precision and deploys solutions that force those weaknesses into the spotlight. The decision to sag off Reese on the perimeter, to practically gift her open looks from the outside, was a brilliant piece of strategic scheming that was developed, communicated, practiced, and executed at an extremely high level. That does not happen by accident. That happens because an organization has made a commitment to preparation and professionalism that permeates every layer of what they do. Aliyah Boston is a defensive anchor who combines physical tools with exceptional basketball intelligence. She does not just react to plays, she anticipates them, positions herself ahead of time, and trusts her instincts in decisive moments. Her block of Reese was not a lucky swat. It was a carefully prepared response to a predictable action. Raven Johnson's ability to push pace in transition and make intelligent decisions in real time reflects hours of preparation and the kind of basketball IQ that teams develop over seasons of disciplined work. And Kelsey Mitchell running that perfect lane for Clark's outlet pass, that is practiced. That is communication, trust, and shared understanding of how the game unfolds. The Indiana Fever are not just Caitlin Clark. They are a cohesive unit built around a generational talent, and that combination is proving to be uniquely difficult to handle for the rest of this league. There is a phrase that coaches have been using for generations across every sport at every level of competition. Pressure reveals character, not creates it, not builds it, reveals it. Whatever you are, whatever you have developed through your preparation and your commitment and your willingness to embrace difficulty, that is what emerges when the moment demands everything you have. The spotlight does not transform you. It simply shows everyone else what was already there. On this night, the spotlight revealed 2 very different realities. It revealed a player in Angel Reese who is still searching for her true professional identity, still attempting to add dimensions to her game that have not yet developed, and still struggling to consistently deliver when the stakes are highest and the margin for error is smallest. The airball in the corner, the desperate physical play, the 4 turnovers, the negative impact on the score. These were not aberrations or bad luck. They were symptoms of a player not yet ready to lead a franchise in the most important games of the season. And it revealed a player in Caitlin Clark who is, game by game, performance by performance, quietly and methodically constructing something remarkable. 5 wins against 1 loss against her most prominent rival. Effortless execution in transition. The vision to throw a full court dime at the precise moment when Atlanta needed to be buried. The composure to perform brilliantly while carrying the weight of a league's economic hopes on her shoulders every single night. The WNBA is evolving faster than anyone predicted. The financial stakes are real, the audiences are massive, and the pressure is unlike anything this league has historically produced. In that environment, only the truly prepared, the truly committed, and the truly talented will thrive. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, they are thriving. The Atlanta Dream and Angel Reese. They have work to do. Serious, fundamental, unglamorous work, the kind that happens in empty gyms long before the cameras arrive, the kind that does not generate social media content but absolutely generates professional results. Because in the end, the spotlight is indifferent. It does not care about your reputation, your background, your potential, or your narrative. It only shows what is actually there. And right now, what is actually there is a growing and undeniable gap between these two players, two teams, and two different relationships with the pressure of the biggest moments in women's professional basketball. The conversation will continue. The rivalry will persist. The cameras will keep rolling, and the arenas will keep filling, and the ratings will keep climbing. But the scoreboard will also keep telling the truth. And right now, the truth belongs to Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Make sure you are following along for the most detailed and honest WNBA analysis available. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think is truly built for this moment? The conversation continues below.